Hey yo, welcome back. This is video 5 in our absolute clown fiesta about the 100 Years' War. This beef was Europe's longest breakup, wrecking England and France for centuries. It started when Edward III of England said, LMAO, I won the French throne, and things spiraled into chaos. First phase, the Edwardian War, which we've already covered extensively, so if you guys are interested, you should definitely check out the previous videos in this series. That was England's glow-up era, smacking France at Crécy and Poitiers and flexing with the Treaty of Brittany to snag a ton of land. Then came the Caroline phase, where France said, new strategy, who dis, and started playing dirty with tiny battles and sieges, slowly grabbing their turf back. By the 1380s, England was deep in its flop era. Broke, fighting peasants, government failing like a dying fish, and so on and so forth. The war cooled into an awkward phase of truces and petty squabbles. But don't worry, England wasn't done being messy just yet. In the 1400s, Henry V rolled up ready to drop a sequel absolutely nobody asked for. Enter the Lancastrian War, from 1415 to 1453. Yes, the same Lancastrians which we talked about in the Wars of the Roses series, so if you guys are interested, also hit it up. Starting with the iconic win at Agincourt, and peaking in 1420 with the Treaty of Troyes, where France basically had to call Henry V their daddy. If you're new here, welcome to Corona's History, where we break down the greatest moments in history and turn them into greater stories. Whether you're bored, learning, or somewhere in between, we've got something cooked up for you to keep you entertained. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Meanwhile, across the channel, Charles V the Wise was holding France together with duct tape and dreams, up until he died in 1380. Tragic timing because his heir, Charles VI, was literally 11. So real power went to his uncles, the Dukes of Burgundy, Anjou, Berry, and Bourbon, who immediately started looting the kingdom like it was Black Friday. They cancelled some hated taxes to look good, but ended up draining the treasury and letting everything slide into messy drama. Young Charles VI started out strong, however, given main character energy. In 1388, when he turned 18, he yeeted his greedy uncles out of power and brought back his dad's OG advisors, the Marmosets. Big W. Charles tried to clean up the kingdom. Better laws, less noble chaos, fair taxes. The people were vibing so hard they called him Charles the Beloved. But low-key, even in his glow-up phase, people noticed he was a little off. One minute he's your golden retriever king, the next he's brooding in a corner. Red flags were flagging, but everyone chose to look the other way. Up until it all exploded. In 1392, Charles hit a full-on mental breakdown that would make any reality show producer weep with joy. On the way to Brittany to smack a traitor, Charles, stressed out and roasting in the heat, just snapped. Dude whipped out a sword mid-march, started slicing at his own squad, and actually killed one knight, and then just collapsed. From there, it was pure chaos. Charles would sometimes forget who his wife and kids were, think he was made of glass, or spend days screaming into the void. Other times, he just powered down like a broken laptop. When he was lucid, he knew something was wrong, and it crushed him. But mostly it was bad vibes 24/7. Since Charles was basically vibing between madness and meltdown, the nobility started fighting for power, mainly the Armagnacs versus the Burgundians. Meanwhile, the England's drama was still lurking in the background. France basically went from slightly messy monarchy to full-send Hunger Games. Charles VI went from golden boy to tragic disaster faster than anyone could blink, dragging the whole kingdom down with him. While France was busy losing its mind, England wasn't exactly killing it either. Edward III died in 1377, and his grandson, Richard II, literal child, took the throne. Surprise, surprise, regents and nobles immediately started throwing hands for power. Then, in 1381, peasants had enough of everyone's bullshit and full-on revolted over dumb taxes. They got squashed, but the vibe stayed rancid. England was too busy imploding to care about France, so in 1389, both sides agreed to a chill-out truce that somehow lasted almost 30 years. France tried to rebuild, while England spiraled into endless civil beef. Then, in 1399, Richard II got dunked on by Henry Bolingbroke, who stole the throne and called himself Henry IV. His reign was pure dumpster fire. Rebellions, backstabbing nobles, the Welsh uprising, by the way, shout out to Owain Glyndŵr. England was so distracted, it couldn't even think about restarting the 100 Years' War. Things stayed like this until Henry IV died, and his son, Henry V, grabbed the crown in 1413. Henry V said, "New king, new rules," and went into turbo mode. Crushed rebellions, flexed on haters, and immediately set his sights back on France. In 1415, he popped off with the legendary win at Agincourt, kicking off a brand new era of the war. Because apparently everyone hadn't suffered enough. So yeah, between 1380 and 1415, England was busy beefing with itself. France was spiraling into Joker-level madness, and the 100 Years' War hit pause. But trust, the mess was far from over. After a long chill period where both England and France were busy flopping internally, these two hot messes decided it's time for round 2 in the early 1400s. Henry V pulled up in 1413 and said, "Time to bring sexy back," except instead of pop hits, it was claims to the French throne. France was mid-mental breakdown because King Charles VI was seeing unicorns or whatever, and their nobles were beefing harder than TikTok drama. Henry saw the chaos and said, "It's time." In 1415, Henry kicked things off by pulling up to Harfleur, throwing hands and cannons, until the town said, "Fine, you win." His squad got absolutely cooked by disease, but Henry was still feeling himself and decided to flex by marching his half-dead army across France. Then came the Battle of Agincourt on October 25th, 1415, aka one of the most "how the fuck did they win" moments in history. Henry had 6,000 tired dudes, mostly longbow bros, facing off against 20 to 30,000 French knights, ready to turn them into roadkill. But guess what? It rained. The battlefield turned into one big muddy slip and slide. Henry stacked his archers behind sharp sticks and let the French run face first into a rain of arrows. The French knights got stuck in the mud like toddlers in a ball pit, and the English just walked up and clapped them with axes and daggers. It was a total bloodbath. French nobles either got murked, captured, or face-planted into the dirt. England lost a few hundred dudes, but France lost anywhere from 7,000 to 10,000 men and all their dignity. This W made Henry look like a total boss. The Battle of Agincourt wasn't just a flax, it cracked open France like a piñata. Suddenly, Henry had the clout to boss around half of northern France and set himself up for the biggest power grab of the century, with the Treaty of Troyes. The French after Agincourt? Bro, they were down bad. The creme de la creme of their nobility got yeeted out of existence. Dukes, counts, knights, bye-bye. With the A-list dead or locked up, France's feudal squad couldn't even rally properly. Plus, the ransoms for the surviving nobles hit their bank accounts harder than student debt. But it wasn't just their wallets that got wrecked. French morale took a nosedive straight into the abyss. How are you supposed to feel good about yourself when a bunch of muddy English dudes in crusty armor just speedran your whole army? And with King Charles VI basically cosplaying as a glass statue half the time, nobody could even keep the country together. The Armagnacs and Burgundians kept squabbling like toddlers fighting over crayons, and the whole place was just straight up falling apart. Meanwhile, Henry V was out here farming XP like it was a limited time event. Agincourt opened the floodgates for England to cozy up to the Burgundians and snatch even more French land like it was Black Friday at Walmart. By 1420, Henry had France so down bad they basically handed him the throne on a silver platter with the Treaty of Troyes. So yeah, Agincourt wasn't just another dub, it was a full-on plot twist that made England the main character in France's history. For now. Now, let's talk about the big power move, the Treaty of Troyes. Signed on May 21st, 1420, this was England's "we won, LOL" moment in paper form. The French were so wrecked by years of losing, infighting, and their king losing his marbles that they were desperate for some kind of stability. Plus, the Dauphin squad kind of fumbled hard when they had John the Fearless, Duke of Burgundy, murdered. That's like killing the cool older cousin everyone likes. It pushed the Burgundians straight into England's arms. The treaty basically said Henry V would run France as regent while Charles VI vibed in La La Land. After Charles VI dipped, spoiler alert, died, Henry would get the French crown. The Dauphin's Charles was cancelled and disinherited because of the whole murder drama. Oh, and to seal the deal, Henry married Charles VI's daughter, Catherine, because medieval politics was just elite-level matchmaking. In theory, it was GG, France belongs to England now. In reality, a massive flop. Henry V died in 1422, like 2 seconds later, and Charles VI wasn't far behind. That left baby Henry VI literally an infant, even worse now, as king of both England and France. Spoiler alert, the French were like, nah, that's not happening. And the Dauphin Charles was like, I'm king now, suck it up, and crowned himself Charles VII. Cue more war, more chaos, and eventually France clawing its way back thanks to some girl named Joan of Arc, who said, hold my beer. So yeah, Treaty of Troyes was peak English domination, but it didn't stick. France was down bad, but not out, and England's big win was already starting to crack. Well, we're slowly nearing the end, but we're not quite there yet. So stay tuned for the next episode where things get even messier, bloodier, and way more unhinged. You won't want to miss it. Hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment if you think you could crawl through the mud to kick some English peasants. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.